right, so blockchain. We're diving deep today. It can seem pretty complex, but I promise by the end of this deep dive, you'll be able to impress your friends at parties with your blockchain knowledge.
Yeah, and you're already ahead of the game just by being interested in this stuff.
Well, I'm excited to learn even more. We've got a ton of research here, some fascinating real-world examples, and it goes way beyond just Bitcoin, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about revolutionizing how we track everything, like produce at the supermarket,
Right.
medical records,
Mhm.
even voting.
Absolutely. Blockchain is already making some pretty big waves in some unexpected places.
Like there.
Well, did you know, for instance, Walmart's been using it to keep tabs on their food supply chain? They can literally trace, like, a head of lettuce all the way back to the farm it came from.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Okay, but I got to be honest. Sometimes this whole blockchain concept, it still makes my head spin a little.
Oh, sure.
Can we maybe back up for a second? Just make sure I'm solid on the basics before we get too deep into it.
Absolutely. At its core, a blockchain is basically a digital ledger. But instead of being kept in one central location, it's distributed across a huge network of computers.
Okay.
And that's where the magic happens. No single person or entity controls it.
Oh.
It's incredibly secure and transparent that way.
So instead of like a bank or a government holding all the cards, everyone in the network has a copy of this ledger.
Exactly.
That seems like a logistical nightmare.
You'd think so, right? But it's actually pretty elegant how it all works. Imagine this. A massive shared poker game, right?
Okay.
Everyone's got a copy of the scorecard. If someone tries to cheat or fudge the numbers, everyone else knows instantly. And that's what makes blockchain so tamper-proof.
Okay, I like the poker analogy. It helps. But let's break down how that actually works in the real world. What are the steps to make this secure record?
Sure. There are 6 key steps to how blockchain works. It all starts with recording a transaction. So think of, let's say Alice is sending Bob some Bitcoin.
Okay.
That action, the sending, is logged with all the details, their wallet addresses, the amount of Bitcoin, a timestamp, all that stuff.
So it's like a digital receipt.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. But how does that one little transaction become part of its massive, unbreakable chain?
Yeah.
That's the next step. So these individual transactions are bundled up into blocks. Think of it like putting all those receipts into a folder.
Okay.
And each block has a size limit. For Bitcoin, it's 1 megabyte.
1 megabyte.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem like a lot for all the Bitcoin transactions that must be happening worldwide, right?
It's surprisingly efficient. 1 megabyte can hold thousands of transactions. And once a block is full, then it's time for the real security measures to kick in.
Okay, this is where I usually get lost. What happens next?
So each block goes through this process called cryptographic hashing, right? Think of it like giving that block a unique fingerprint.
Okay.
This digital signature, we call it a hash, is generated using a crazy complex math formula. Even the tiniest change to the data in that block creates a completely different hash. That's what makes it nearly impossible to tamper with the block without everyone knowing.
So it's like it has a built-in alarm system?
Yeah. You mess with the block, the hash is like, hey, something's wrong here.
Got it. Okay.
But before we can add that block to the chain, the network needs to agree that it's legitimate. That's where these consensus mechanisms come into play.
Consensus mechanisms. Is that like a digital head nod? Everyone on the network's like, yeah, we're good with this.
You got it. And there are different ways to reach that consensus. One is proof of work, where these super powerful computers solve really complex puzzles to validate the block. It's like a competition, right? Whoever solves it first gets to add the next block to the chain.
So it's like a super secure game of Sudoku, and the winner gets to update the ledger.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simplified analogy, but you're getting the idea.
Okay.
Another method is proof of stake. And in this one, validators are chosen based on how much cryptocurrency they hold. So it's kind of like saying you've got skin in the game, you're more likely to play by the rules.
Interesting. So different blockchains use different ways to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Right.
But then how does this block actually become like a permanent part of the chain?
This is the beauty of it. Each block includes the hash of the previous block.
Okay.
This creates an unbreakable chain, like literally building blocks, right? You try to remove one from the middle, the whole thing crumbles.
That's why it's called the blockchain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now we've got all these copies of the ledger floating around.
Right.
How do we make sure everyone has the latest, most up-to-date version?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's the final step. The updated blockchain is copied across every single computer in the network. And this decentralized storage means that even if one computer crashes or even gets hacked, the information is safe.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing. So we've got this tamper-proof, constantly updated ledger spread across an entire network. All right, we're good on the basics.
We are.
But where do we go from here? How do we actually use this beyond just, cryptocurrency?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. You mentioned tracking produce at Walmart, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. There are so many real-world examples of how blockchain is impacting other industries.
All right, well, let's dive in. I'm ready to see what else this technology can do. So we've laid the groundwork. We get how blockchain works,
Yeah.
this secure, decentralized ledger. But I'm really curious to see how it's being used, beyond cryptocurrency. Where do we even begin?
Well, one of the most, I guess you could say, buzzworthy applications has to be NFTs.
NFTs, NFTs, NFTs.
Yeah.
I hear that word everywhere.
They've just exploded in popularity. And for good reason. I mean, they're changing how we think about ownership in this digital age.
Okay, but if I'm being honest, I'm still a bit fuzzy on what they actually are.
Yeah.
Be talking digital art, virtual cats. Help me out here.
Okay, think of it this way. An NFT, or non-fungible token, it's a unique digital asset.
Right.
Like it's like a one-of-a-kind trading card or a rare piece of art, but, in the digital world. And because they're built on blockchain, ownership and authenticity can be verified without a doubt.
So it's like having a digital certificate of authenticity for a digital item.
Exactly.
Okay, but what's to stop someone from just taking a screenshot of, say, a digital artwork and claiming they own it?
That's the brilliance of blockchain. So anyone can copy a digital file, right?
Right.
But only the owner of the NFT has that verifiable proof of ownership that's recorded on the blockchain. It's like,
Sure.
owning the original Mona Lisa versus just having a print of it.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. It's not the file itself that's valuable, but that proof of ownership that's tied to it. What are some examples of how NFTs are being used in the real world?
The art world has really embraced NFTs. You might have heard of Beeple, the digital artist.
Yeah.
Sold an NFT of his artwork for, get this, $69 million at Christie's.
$69 million for a digital artwork.
I know. It's crazy.
I guess that's one way to prove ownership.
That's one way, yeah.
But are NFTs just for the art world?
Not at all. We're seeing them used for everything, like virtual real estate and online games.
Oh, wow.
Like Decentraland,
Yeah.
collectible sports cards with NBA Top Shot, tokenized music albums that give fans special access and experiences.
Wow, the possibilities really do seem endless.
Mhm.
It's like NFTs are creating this whole new digital economy.
They are?
But before we get lost in the metaverse here,
Right.
let's shift gears to another area where blockchain is making waves.
Sure.
Decentralized finance, DeFi. What's that all about?
DeFi is basically aiming to rebuild traditional financial systems, things
Wow.
like lending and borrowing, but without needing those traditional middlemen like banks. So it's all about peer-to-peer transactions powered by, you guessed it, blockchain.
So it's like cutting out the middleman and putting the power back in the hands of individuals.
Exactly.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
But how does it work in practice?
Imagine you want to earn interest on your crypto holdings, right?
Well,
With DeFi, you can use platforms like a Cove or Compound to lend your crypto to other people.
okay.
And those borrowers, they pay interest, which is then distributed among the lenders.
So it's like a decentralized savings and loan, but for crypto.
Basically.
That's pretty cool. What else can you do with DeFi?
Oh, there are decentralized exchanges where you can trade crypto directly with other users. No need for that centralized exchange. It's all about creating a more open, accessible financial system.
This is fascinating, but I have to admit, it also sounds a bit like the Wild West of finance. Are there any, regulations in place to protect people?
I mean, that's a valid concern. The DeFi space is still really new. And yeah, it's largely unregulated. It's important for people to really do their research, understand the risks before they jump in.
So proceed with caution, but the potential for, disrupting the traditional financial world is definitely there.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like blockchain is really challenging the status quo in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
But, we've been focusing on the positive stuff.
right.
Are there any potential downsides or challenges that we should be aware of?
Oh, absolutely. Like any powerful technology, blockchain's got its fair share of challenges. One concern is the energy consumption,
Okay.
particularly with those proof-of-work systems we talked about earlier.
Right.
Remember those? They need a ton of computing power, which can be really energy intensive.
So not the most environmentally friendly technology.
It's a valid point. But there are other consensus mechanisms like proof of stake, which are designed to be much more energy efficient.
That's good to know. Any other challenges?
Scalability is another one.
Hmm.
Some blockchains can only handle a certain number of transactions per second,
Oh, okay.
and this can lead to, slow processing times, higher fees, especially when the network is super busy.
So not quite ready to replace our credit cards for, like, everyday purchases.
Not just yet, but there are blockchains like Solana and Algorand that are designed specifically for super fast transactions. It's a matter of finding the right blockchain for the right job.
Makes sense. What about, like, the regulatory landscape? It seems like things are changing all the time in the crypto world. How does that impact blockchain?
That's a crucial point. The lack of clear regulations in many parts of the world is a major roadblock. It creates a lot of uncertainty for businesses and investors, which can slow down innovation and adoption.
So kind of a waiting game to see how governments approach this new technology.
It is, yeah. There needs to be this balance, right, between fostering innovation and protecting consumers. It's complicated, no easy answers. But even with these challenges, the potential of blockchain is just too big to ignore.
I'm convinced. Blockchain is clearly more than just a buzzword. It's powerful, and it has the potential to change the world as we know it.
It really does.
But as we kind of wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm wondering, what does all this mean for the average person?
Yeah.
How can they actually engage with this technology? It's like we went down this rabbit hole, and we came back up, and we've got a whole new perspective on things.
We do. Blockchain's more than just a tech trend, isn't it?
It really is.
You hit a key point there, though.
Yeah.
What does it mean for, like, the everyday person?
Right.
That's the cool thing about blockchain. It's not just for these huge tech companies or, financial institutions.
Right.
The applications are so broad, it really could impact all of our lives in some way.
We've talked about Walmart using it for, like, food tracking, the potential for secure medical records.
Right.
Even voting systems that could be more transparent. Those are some pretty huge implications.
Yeah, you are.
But it still feels like we're just scratching the surface.
I agree. We are. I mean, we're still in the early stages, right?
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
As we keep developing it, keep refining the technology, we're going to see even more innovative uses that we can't even imagine right now.
So for someone out there who's listening and they're intrigued by all this, but they're like, I don't even know where to start.
Right.
What advice would you give them? How can they get involved in this blockchain revolution?
Stay curious, first and foremost. There's a ton of information available online.
Yeah.
Everything from articles and videos for beginners to, really in-depth courses and research papers. Don't be afraid to just jump in and start learning.
Yeah, it can feel overwhelming, but just take that first step.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about actually using blockchain? Is it just about, like, buying Bitcoin?
No. You can try out different crypto wallets, different exchanges, just to get a feel for how those transactions work. There are also these platforms that let you interact with dApps, decentralized applications.
dApps.
Yeah, they're built on blockchain technology.
Okay. What kind of things can you do with them?
Well, they're all about cutting out that middleman,
Right.
enabling direct interactions between people. There are dApps for all sorts of things, like lending and borrowing money, trading cryptocurrencies, playing games, collecting digital art,
Wow.
even creating and managing these decentralized organizations.
It sounds like a whole new world is opening up thanks to blockchain.
It really is.
But just like with anything new, it's important to be aware of the risks, right?
Absolutely. Do your research, understand the technology, be careful of any scams or, promises that sound too good to be true.
If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But beyond being cautious, are there any specific skills or knowledge areas that you think will be valuable in this blockchain-powered future?
Understanding the basics of cryptography, how blockchain works, that's definitely helpful.
Okay.
Coding skills are becoming really valuable too, since more and more of these applications are being built on this technology.
So it's not just for the tech wizards,
Right.
but having some technical know-how can really give you an advantage.
Definitely.
Any other advice for someone who wants to kind of stay ahead of the curve?
Stay up to date on what's happening in the industry.
Okay.
Follow some blogs, listen to podcasts like this one, engage with the community on social media. There's
Right.
always something new to learn.
And remember, this isn't just about technology. It's about the potential to create a better future, a more transparent one, a more equitable one, and a more decentralized one.
Absolutely. Blockchain empowers people, it fosters innovation, And it really does challenge the status quo. It's a movement worth being a part of.
Well said. It's been amazing exploring the world of blockchain with you today. We've covered so much.
We have, from how it works to all the amazing potential it has.
Yeah.
I hope this deep dive sparked some curiosity in our listeners, made them want to keep learning and exploring, maybe even building something new with this incredible technology.
That's a wrap for our deep dive into blockchain. We hope you enjoyed the journey and keep learning, exploring, and maybe even building the future with this revolutionary technology.